It's my great pleasure to here to discuss with a lot of people here about the future of Web3 and how we are envision how the Web3 should look like and how we are able to enable all those interesting applications on PubDev. Today I also gave the talk at DevCon last month on Bogota, the capital of Colombia. So DevCon is the largest cryptocurrency developer conference. So we have thousands of developers there to co-discuss what the future of the Web3 should look like. So, next. So what's the current status of we call decentralized web, or sometimes we call Web3? We have a couple of, from infrastructure perspective, we have a couple of components. First, we have a decentralized access protocol, which is called IPFS. I'm not sure, have you ever heard of IPFS? Or it's kind of like, the full name is called Interplanetary File System. It aims to replace the current HTTP standard, but HTTP, why? Because HTTP is a standard to locate centralized resources, including DNS, IP address, but we need a way to say, hey, we want something that is able to run in a decentralized way. Everybody can host the content, and everybody can be fully verify the content that read from the corresponding IPFS link. And that's something that we have already has, the decentralized access protocol. And we also have libp2p, which is a decentralized networking layer. So we have familiar with TCP/IP, with different, for example, applications built on top down, like HTTP. But right now, we are building more kind of like a P2P network, so that everybody is able to communicate with the network without worrying about, for example, censorship, and all these concerns, single point of failure. And lastly, we also have decentralized, incentivized storage layer. So we are able to store those data in the network permanently, so that we don't worry about someone like a centralized company that may shut down your content or suspend your account. Yes. But still, even with all these components, we still have a lot of limitations on current solutions, especially when we compare to Web 2, for example, the famous companies like Twitter, like Facebook, Instagram, which they already can do petabytes or even exabytes of data, user data of the whole internet. So even there's still a lot of things that are not available on Web 2 when we compare to Web 2, Web 3 when we compare to Web 2. First, we want to storage a large amount of data on the decentralized solutions. Unfortunately, those storage solutions have very limited semantics. They only mostly work for static files, so I can still upload a lot of static files, PDF, all this file to the network. Unfortunately, in our Web 2 internet, there's a lot of operations are done in an update or delete. So I want to revise my articles, I want to revise my comment. If I'm not satisfied with my trees, I can delete them. But unfortunately, in the decentralized world, that is very hard to achieve. And also, it lacks of data composability, which means that if you want to compose the multiple users together in a single pages, it will still very hard in the decentralized world. For example, when I read tweets of Elon Musk, it returns not only the Elon Musk tweet, but also returns the tweets from following tweets from other users. And if we want to compose this data together in a single pages in a decentralized way, right now it's still extremely difficult. We have to still rely on some centralized solutions, and that's why Elon Musk said we don't have Web 3 at the moment, we just have Web 2.5, because still a lot of centralized components are playing key roles in the current decentralized web. And second is that all these storage solutions, Filecoin, Orbi, they have their independent ecosystem where we assume a lot of people in the Web 2 have already know a famous project called Ethereum. I'm not sure everybody have Ethereum in here. If you have, could you please raise your hand? 1, 2, 3. Well, okay, we have a dozen of the people have Ethereum. So Ethereum, I think, is probably the largest, the second largest cryptocurrency in the world, and which have the distributed, decentralized computation power. And so we assume that all these users in Web2 already know how Ethereum works, what's the cryptocurrency, what's the token economies, what's the meaning of gas price, gas, all this concept. Unfortunately, for all those other projects like decentralized storage, they have their independent ecosystem, they have their new wallets, they have new addresses, and they have their new token economies, which means that they create a significant learning curve for new users, even for me. Which I believe I'm already quite expert in this area. So when we envision in the development of the future web in 5 or 10 years, what it should look like, and that's, we believe we need some key features in the future of Web3. The first feature that we can offer rich storage semantics, just like a lot of Web2 infrastructure, like Facebook, Google already can do. Previously I worked at Google and Facebook, and I play a lot of the infrastructure inside the company. And a lot of these things we believe it should be also available in the Web3, which we are able to have a large amount of data on the decentralized world and be able to program it by smart contracts that I can tell when I wrote for example, when I read the tweets, who are the followers, who wrote the comments, and who is the most popular tweets, all kinds of data that can be now programmed by smart contract and returned to the users in a dynamic way. Second is that we have to dramatically simplify the user onboarding experience, basically creating zero user onboarding experience, especially that's the key success of Web2. So the user just using a browser like Google Chrome, I can do almost all the work. I can upload file, I can send email, which was unimaginable when we were in the Web 1.0. At the time, still I'm using the Microsoft Outlook to send and receive my email. And the first time when I used Gmail, I said, oh, this is like magic, how it could do that. And that's something that we really want to enable in the future of Web3, not only Web2 at the moment. So you'll be able to for the users, just use an Ethereum compatible wallet, such as MetaMask, is able to do all the things like how to write a tree or write an article in the decentralized web. And lastly, it's fully decentralized, which means that there's no centralized identity. It's like our internet. We need the freedom not only from communications, but also from front end, from blockchain, also from storage. Everything is freedom, so we don't worry about like centralized company that have monopoly domain of current Web2 world. So we believe with the latest development of Web3 technologies, we have reached very close solutions to solve that, especially in near 2 or 3 years. So I think there's a couple of technology. Basically, I just quickly go through. If you are interested in the details of technology that we are building, feel free to reach me. So basically, there are several technologies is regarding how we are able to dramatically reduce the cost of upload data. That's called proof of publication or wide data availability, which is one of the most popular technologies that is developing on top of Ethereum. And second is how we are able to store large amount of data, which is able to support petabyte of data with CRUD semantics and with all kinds of cryptographic improvement to show that those storage are being stored in the network somewhere. So that people don't worry about those data being discarded or withheld. And lastly, we developed a Web3 access protocol. Can we move next one? So Web3 access protocol is defined by ERC 4804. It is a similar protocol to HTTP, but instead of locating a centralized resources that are hosted by a DNS and IP address, it's going to locate resources on a smart contract, and then we are able to call this smart contract and ask what the smart contract would like to display on the user's browser. The great benefit of Web3 Access Protocol is that it can return those dynamic content instead of static ones that return from IPFS. So with this new access protocol, we can basically implement all kinds of Web2 applications like decentralized Twitter, decentralized Instagram, or TikTok. That is possible now with all the technology we are building. So, and for Ether storage, it's basically a storage solutions built on top of Ethereum to be able to offer large-scale storage, programmable and smart contract, and it's also reuse the security of the Ethereum so that everything is secure by the network. And there are a lot of technical details here, so feel free to reach me too if you want to learn more. And there's a comparison of what we can offer versus the existing solutions in terms of flexibility. For example, we can support Key-value store with very large size, and we also define the access protocol to access content, and users just using existing wallet so that they can access all this data. And with this, we believe we can enable a lot of applications. So for example, if you have ever buy NFT, so right now the NFT is now using external storage solutions like IPFS or centralized ones. But in the future, we believe that all those NFTs should be stored together with Ethereum network so that everything can happen on Ethereum. And most importantly, that those NFT can be dynamically changed. For example, I have a game character, I have a different experience, I have different equipment. All those things can be dynamically displayed via dynamic NFT and on top of our technologies. A couple of things like Web2 to Web3 migrations, decentralized Twitter, Dropbox, for example, decentralized TikTok, and all these things we believe are possible in the future of Web3. So in the next slides, I will give a quick demo of our decentralized Dropbox.
This is my Firefox browser that supports Web3 VLL. So now type Web3 VLL, Mr. Store.eth that we register a ENS that points to the smart contract that hosts our front end. So all the images, HTML, CSS, JavaScript now hosted by the smart contract and code. There are a couple of interesting examples. For example, central bank. This is also hosted by contract, another contract, and I can see all the lists, all the previous files have been uploaded before. And in order to load it out, I do just file, and then it need to launch the transaction via MetaMask. So in the whole procedure, you don't need to require any additional, such as and once the transaction is confirmed by the network, I can access the file also via Web3 Access Protocol. So the file has been uploaded, so we are able to access. So it's still a gateway, but we can still use the Web3 Access Protocol. And that is also connected to smart contract. So for decentralized examples like Web3 decentralized block, T, etc. So welcome to play.
Yeah, sorry for the networking issues, so that the voice is a little bit glitched there. I think, yeah. So everything here, you can browse the corresponding demo, build on top of smart contract, on top of our testnet through our website, ethstorage.io. And so for next year, we are planning to build a full functional testnet that aims to support like tens of terabytes or hundreds of terabytes of data. For example, decentralized GitHub, decentralized Wikipedia, all kinds of interesting things that are building on top of EVM and also our storage solutions. So next. So many thanks for attending my today's talk. I know it's very highly technical, but I really would welcome more people to be able to come and build the future of Web3. Thank you very much. Questions?
Yeah, so I was one of those people who raised my hand when you said who has Ethereum, right?
Yep.
So the market for cryptocurrencies and NFTs obviously are nowhere near the levels they were in 2021. So I'm wondering, so far in 2022, how has this arguable recession that we're under affected the development of technologies such as the user onboarding experience that you talked about?
So the question is how the current bear market, how affected development, all kinds of ecosystem. I think I have experienced several bearish market before, but I think this time is significantly different versus previous. Like in previous bearish market, everybody just silent because everybody had no idea what the future would be. But this time, even though the secondary market crashes, a lot of prices, but also US stock also crashes. So maybe it's not the only fault of cryptocurrency. But at the same time, all the developer community is extremely, I would say, like a very fierce discussion on what the future looks like. Because now a lot of people can envision what the Web3 should really bring to the user in terms of the freedom, not only from the freedom of speech, freedom of the, for example, financial assets, or freedom of data, and also the freedom of the social capital. All kinds of things now is possible on top of Web3 technologies. So I personally have participated in a lot of developer community conference like San Fran Blockchain Conference, which is happening in San Francisco. There are thousands of developers come to San Francisco and develop, and also went to East Denver, that is close. And then when I take the cab, the driver said, "Hey, why there's so many people come?" Because like that's so rare in their local. Because like like Denver is, I think from technology part of my perspective, is not so famous, and so because their governor even come and say, "Hey, we want to become the Silicon Valley of Web3." So I think this is a complete something. I would say something like 2000, and then at the time, all those other crashes, market crashes, but still a lot of people believe internet or the future of the internet can significantly change our life.
Thank you.